Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is our very own kickoff meeting. And then there's also a little bit of training because we really want to maximize the use of this group. We want to make sure that everybody in this group takes away some really great value out of it and gets increased engagement on their social media platforms as well. So here's a brief outline of our overview today. We're going to look at our mission for the group, how engagement pods work, as well as best practices for authentic engagement. We really want to emphasize authentic, so that's what we're going to do there. And then we're going to go over just the thread tutorials and then open the floor for discussion. So our mission for this group, we really want to cultivate a community that brings together business professionals. And we really want to support the growth of your business. And we do this through accelerating your engagement on social media. So our core focus is really bringing this group of individuals together where we collaborate and we support one another, we engage on each other's content, and we go as a whole. And allowing that engagement, accelerating that growth on your social media, allows your content to get right in front of those key decision makers, especially on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a great platform for this. And again, we want to strive to provide that value for our exclusive community of business professionals. As Gabe mentioned, everybody is a part of the Referral Accelerant group. So these are familiar faces. We see you every week, and we just hope that you can continue to get value outside of the Referral Accelerant program. And just a couple of things that you'll have access to. You'll get access to business education and resources. One of the things that we want to implement as well is an Ask an Expert. So that's a place where you can actually share information with the group. And also it's just a way of kind of establishing yourself as a thought leader and generating more people and traffic to your content, whether it be on your website or in the group itself. And then we also want to open it up to collaboration opportunities and authentic social media engagement. And that's one of our key focuses for this group. Now let's just jump right in, because one of the biggest things that we're going to be doing that offers the most amount of value will be our engagement pods. So I just want to dive in a little bit deeper into how they work. As you know, social media, there's a big component to actually being social. I'm sure you've seen it time and time again where you see people post or they want so much in return, but they don't give. Social media is about being social. That's how you grow on social media, hence why it's called social media. So that's where the collaboration comes in. We're all in this together to help support one another and really accelerate our businesses together. So we're using these engagement pods to jumpstart engagement on your social media content so you can actually hack the algorithm for greater reach and brand awareness for your company. The biggest thing that we're going to be doing is hacking that algorithm so your content actually gets seen and engaged with. And we do this through collaboration and reciprocity. We support the members in this community. And like I said, we're going to have those weekly threads where you can participate and post your content. And we do this through 3 C's for the most authentic engagement. Because the hardest, or I guess the biggest downside to engagement pods is liking something or being forced to like or comment on something that you absolutely don't see any value in for your target audience. We want to prevent that. So that's where the 3 C's come in, which I'll talk about shortly. So on to best practices. The first one, as I mentioned, the 3 C's, the first of the 3 C's is to connect. So if you are going to be participating in our weekly engagement threads, we ask that you connect and follow with all the group members as soon as you join the group. This is super, super important because it prevents spammy or risky behavior that most other engagement pods have. And that's what we really want to prevent here. We want to maintain the integrity and professionalism of our group. So that's kind of why we want you guys to connect once you join. And this is especially important on LinkedIn. One of the things that people don't realize is that you only get shown first-degree connections post. So by having those connections already established by joining the group, it'll look less spammy. So you must be first-degree connections with those that you engage with before participating in our threads. And I'll dive a little bit more deeper. We're going to go through a couple examples to show you exactly what that looks like. But if you take a look at the picture, once you join the group, you're going to see a pinned announcement that looks just like this. It's going to be a welcome post where you actually go ahead and introduce yourself, and that's where you would put a little about who you are, what you do, and then also where you can actually post your social media links, whether it be LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. For right now, we just have LinkedIn threads, but oh, I see somebody saying that I'm coming in choppy. Is anyone else experiencing that?
Occasionally.
Okay. Yeah, no, feel free to step
I'm
in
hearing you
if there's
fine, by
something
the
that
way.
you want me to repeat.
You're
Okay.
sounding great in Kennesaw.
Okay, I'm just wondering because I know that sometimes my internet can be very poor here in Vegas. So feel free to interrupt me at any moment if you do want me to repeat something. Okay, so that kind of moves us on to the next C. But before I move on, does anybody have any questions so far? Feel free to unmute yourself and pop in. Can I get a thumbs up? Everyone's good so far? Perfect, perfect. Okay, so then let's go ahead and move on to the second C. So for the best possible engagement that's authentic, we want to also take a look at the second C, which is collaboration. So if you are going to be participating in our weekly engagement threads, which is again a huge component of this group, we ask that you like and comment on the post of at least 2 others in the thread. So everyone in the group is going to be able to participate in these threads. It's just before you post, go ahead and engage with 2 other members, because that's where that collaboration comes in. That's where we see the most growth. And ideally, you want to go ahead and do that as soon as you post. When you're ready to post, go ahead and find 2 others that you want to engage with. And this is where the authentic part comes in. We're not forcing you to like every single person's post. However, you can. That obviously benefits them and benefits you as well in the long run, because they feel the need to reciprocate that. However, we don't require that. We want this to be as authentic as possible, especially because this is going to be for your target audience. So you want to choose the 2 or more that provide the most value to your clients.
Can I step in here for a second, Melissa?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so one thing I want to add to that is that, sometimes you might not get people liking or commenting on your post because it might not be all that great. Because we have the option of not doing some that we like, but maybe not others. If you're finding that you're doing a bunch of stuff and nobody's reciprocating, it's not that they're being rude. It's that you just need to up your game in putting quality content on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Which actually is going to bring me to my next C. So I'm glad you brought that up. One of the biggest things here is we want to provide the most amount of value, not only for everybody in the group, but for our ideal clients, our audience, because that's who we want to get in front of. We want to get in front of our customers, we want to get in front of those business key decision makers. And of course, they're looking for content that solves their problems. So again, just like Gabe said, content is really key here. So this is kind of a challenge for everyone to kind of post Tuesdays and Thursdays and set up their schedule so that they can offer value. And then just another note on the comments. So when you do leave a comment on somebody's post, whether it be on LinkedIn or Instagram in the future, just leave thoughtful comments. That's all we ask. Refrain from short, superficial comments that you can post on anybody's post, like generic posts like, hey, great stuff, thanks for sharing, an emoji. Like, that's not authentic engagement. It doesn't really show that you read the post and you truly engaged. And that's why other engagement pods do it wrong. And the algorithm will see right through that, especially on LinkedIn, because what a lot of people don't realize is, yes, LinkedIn goes through an algorithm, but if there is any suspicious activity at all, a person is flagged, like a person on their team actually gets notified to look over a post. So again, this is where we want to be as authentic and real as possible. Take the time. It's just a couple of seconds, I'm sure, to just read somebody's post and just leave a thoughtful comment. I'm sure you can get value out of it. So that's one of the key components of this as well. So then moving on to the third C. Let's see, we have somebody commenting in the chat. Amy, okay, that's a good question. She said, can we have a class on how to post these? We could definitely work something out, and we can post that on the Facebook group so that you guys can have that value. I'm definitely open to having a master class to just go over these tools as well. All right, so moving on to the third C, kind of to reiterate on what Gabe said earlier, content. So another key component to this is posting content, your most recent content. So content within the last 24 to 72 hours. So our threads, our LinkedIn threads are going to be going Tuesday and Thursday. Just off the start, we want to kind of test the waters and see how comfortable everybody is with that pace. And then of course, we'll kind of speed it up and add in new features as we go along. But we ask that you only post content that's posted within the last 24 to 72 hours. Now, this is super important because if you've ever taken a look at Instagram or LinkedIn, old posts don't just randomly show up. A lot of it is chronological, and yeah, sure, they'll show posts from maybe 2 weeks ago or so, but they don't just show up randomly on the feed. So when you post, when you see this engagement on a really old post, whether it's from like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, it's not as authentic and it doesn't seem as realistic. It seems spammy. So we want to prevent that. So again, only post recent content to remain as authentic as possible. And the content, kind of like what Gabe mentioned earlier, it should be thoughtful and interesting, but it also should invite conversation and comments. So what I usually like to do when I post is I'll include like a non-rhetorical open-ended question to invite comments, because that's one easy way when somebody's reading through your post and they see a question, they can easily answer it and contribute to the conversation. And also it leaves room for that conversation to keep going. So let's say Gabe posts something and then he asks a question, I answer the question and then ask another question in the comments, kind of continuing that conversation. The more we do that, the more it gets shown in the LinkedIn or even, well, in this case, it would be LinkedIn feed, because it looks at all of those touch points, all those engagement points, and it continues to show them. So like one of the things this morning, I was tagged in a networking event post. And then everybody that liked it, it kept showing up in my notifications that somebody new liked it, somebody new liked it, somebody new commented on it. And that's how we end up seeing more people's content and getting in front of those key decision makers, especially when we start showing it to a larger network of people than what we originally have right now.
Hey, Melissa.
Melissa?
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm noticing in the chat that a lot of people are not on LinkedIn. They're doing mostly Facebook. And I know we said we're going to start off. We wanted to start off this very simple, very easy, and let it not try and throw everything at everybody. And that's why we started with LinkedIn, assuming that everybody was on LinkedIn. So we're not really sure. We're not really sure exactly at this point how we're going to proceed. I guess Melissa and I have to have a conversation. But we were going to start with LinkedIn, but maybe that would encourage some of you to at least get started with LinkedIn as well. And we plan to do Facebook, right? I mean, that was something as this starts to get rolling and everybody gets used to it, then we do plan to do Facebook. So I'm wondering. I mean, then there's somebody else is saying LinkedIn and Instagram, and we were going to do Instagram at the end too. So we'll just have to kind of, this might have growing pains with this, but I think in the beginning we really wanted to start slow, so I don't want to burden Melissa with a ton of work or myself, and I just want to kind of ease into it. I don't know if you have any further thoughts on that, Melissa.
I can make it happen. So the only thing with Facebook, you'd have to, whether it's a personal page or a company page, there's no option where you can actually like share your post or like a link to it. I think I'd have to look it over, but we can get that set up. I can actually set that up. We have a LinkedIn thread already set up, but we can't set something up for next week, whether it be Friday for Facebook or sometime throughout the week. And that's something that we can definitely discuss in the following slides, because our open discussion is coming up soon. It does seem like there's a lot of people commenting regarding Facebook. And that's something, you know, like we mentioned, we definitely want to roll out. That's in the near future. If anything, we'll have that set up as early as next week. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility. All right. Okay, so that's just to recap.
Melissa?
Yep, Marlene?
Oh, sorry. Before you continue, I had a question on when you talk about posting and then commenting to a question. I know that I've heard that on Facebook, if you comment, like let's say, you know, Gabe makes a post and puts out a question, and then you comment and then you ask a question. I've been told it's better if you answer your question, Melissa, in the main original comment section and not continue the thread underneath and sort of have it buried. So let's say like Gabe asks the question, you answer and you comment with another question, then I comment on yours and then ask a question, and then somebody comments on my question, then, you know, we're kind of burying the thread as opposed to commenting at the original comment section. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm being
okay,
clear.
so yeah, no, I absolutely understand. So where it's multiple comments versus a bunch of different comments under one person's original comment. Okay, so the thing, honestly, I'm not 100% sure. So the way that I've seen it on Facebook, as long as there's engagement on a post, so, you know, for example, I posted an offer to the Facebook group. As long as there's engagement on that post, whether it be in multiple comment threads or within one, I do see it show up. There's ways in a group where you can filter by most recent or top news. So it really just depends on the way that the person filters the view. Like for me, I don't like a lot of the posts that show up on the groups that I'm in. They're like top posts. People are constantly engaging on it, so they're usually at the top. But I sort mine by most recent, especially when I'm looking for leads. So that's it. I think it really just depends, but I think that's the extent of to my knowledge of what I can answer for that question. Hopefully that answered it.
Yes, thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions? So let's go on to, all right. So here's just a little bit more information on the threads. What time do weekly engagement threads open? So I plan on opening them at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and then 6 a.m. Pacific time. And then this is the schedule right now. So right now we did have Tuesdays and Thursdays as LinkedIn Accelerant, but again, we are going to roll out Facebook, Instagram, Ask an Expert, all of these features within the next week. Gabe and I are talking through it, and I think really that conversation at the end is going to really help establish that protocol. And again, just please engage with at least 2 other members by the end of the business day. So if you did post, just make sure to go back to it. We really ask that you collaborate and contribute to the group in order to benefit the whole. And let me move that chat. Okay. So for anyone that is interested in posting, these are just a few of the tutorials on how to do that and how to actually see the copy the link. And I can walk you through that as well, but this is just an overview. I'm not going to dive into it here because I'm going to actually just show you how to do that. So give me 1 second.
Melissa,
right,
can I
so
ask you a question?
Yes, Keith.
When you on the previous slide where you said Tuesday and Thursday 9 a.m. and 6 a.m. Pacific that you're going to release the thread, what does release the thread mean?
Okay, so on the Facebook group, you will see basically something that looks like this. I'll show you actually that now. So you have a pinned announcement. This is where everybody's going to introduce themselves. And then down below, you can actually see that I've already posted one for today. So we have our LinkedIn Boost thread, and these will usually show up as early as 9 a.m. Eastern time. So here we have just the instructions on how to walking you through exactly how to participate in this thread. And you'll see this every Tuesday, every Thursday, and then also additional days for the other platforms, which we can decide on towards the end. Does that make sense, Keith?
Yes. So what I'm hearing you say is that you or Gabe will initiate the thread.
Yes. So we will post that, and we'll likely, so what I'm planning on doing to kind of give everyone a reminder is I'm going to send out a message. I didn't want to be too spammy, and I also didn't want to burden everyone, but I think I might just send out a message to the whole group in the very beginning just to say, hey, the thread's up, just to kind of give you a reminder that it's open and you can post your content on there. And then probably just another reminder at the end of the day saying that the thread's closing soon, and then if you can get your 2 engagements in before the end of the business day.
Okay, and Melissa, let me mute everybody.
Does that
and
help,
then,
Keith?
Melissa, let me mute everybody, and then
Yes,
you can unmute.
Melissa.
Then you can unmute yourself. I'm hearing a lot of background background noise. All right, so
Okay.
unmute
No
everybody
problem.
now. Now go ahead and yourself. But also, just so I don't know if we explained this, but this whole system is driven by this Facebook group that this private Facebook group that Melissa has created, and so that's how we go to this to find out where the links are and what to do. I don't know if that was clear to everybody, but yeah, and again, do not invite your friends or anybody to this group. This is only for the folks that are participants in the Referral Accelerant virtual networking system. And I'm done.
May I ask a
Yes.
question?
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
think
Who was
I've
that?
gotten an invite. I don't think I've
So
gotten
I
an
will put
invite
up the
to
link.
that.
That's okay, Deborah. So I'm going to put up the link for everyone, and I'm going to spend about 5 minutes so we can actually accept everyone to the group once we go over. And then that way you guys can actually access it while we're on the line together and play around with it. And if there is any questions, I can help answer that.
Okay, Jody
Thank
Miller.
you.
Jody Miller also
You're
posted
welcome.
something in the chat. You might want to look at that and see if you can answer her.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so sorry. So when you share the link, so when you actually go to your post, so I'll give you an example. Actually, this would be the perfect time to walk you through exactly how I would do that. So if I want to post, I posted recently, okay, maybe not recently. So you'd go over to your little avatar and click me, and then you can go over to your posts and activity. And this shows kind of everything that you've done or in the past. And let's say you had a recent post. Mine is not recent, so I apologize. But here's a post that I did about a month ago. And what I want to do is I want to take this and get engagement on this post. So this would be a bad example because it's a month ago. So I actually wouldn't do this. If it was posted within like 24 to 72 hours, that'd be okay. But in this case, this is just for the example. So I would go ahead and click these 3 dots right here. For whatever post I want to link to the Facebook group, I would click copy link to post. So now it's copied to my clipboard. And then once I'm ready to go, I would go ahead and click comment on the Facebook group post or Facebook group thread. And then you can go ahead and just paste the link. So that, I'm just gonna go ahead and enter that for an example. And this is how it'll likely show up. So now I have it on there and it's ready to go. this is where everyone, if you want, it's best to kind of put a brief description highlighting maybe a key point about what you're posting. It usually helps, but it's not necessary. In this case, I have my link to that post. So when I click it, it goes directly to that post and you can engage on it right away. Did that answer your question, Jody?
Yeah, I actually just posted on the chat. It did answer my question. Thank you. I was able to follow your example. So just to follow up, right now what we're talking about is just specifically talking about copying LinkedIn posts to the Digital Accelerant FB group that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Now you can also do Instagram, and I'm going to work on Facebook as well. I'm sure there's I'm just trying to figure out, I remember there being a share feature, but since I'm not active on Facebook, I'd have to dive in a little bit deeper, but I'm sure there's a way. If anything, you can post your Facebook page and we can find your latest post and then just engage on it that way. That would work too. So we'll definitely walk through that and work through all those kinks shortly.
What for Facebook? I mean, instead of, copying a link, what about just copying the actual, what about just copying and pasting the actual Facebook post?
So for example, like I'm on this post right here. You see how it's a thread within an entire group? If I copy the link, it's actually the group link. It's not a link to the actual post. So that's kind of where that disconnect is. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome.
Are you all seeing something on the screen? Excuse me, because all I'm seeing is you talking, Melissa. I don't see anything other than you talking. I apologize. So I'm not following.
Oh no, that's okay. Is anyone else having that problem?
I think probably what she's
Oh,
got.
she might be on speaker view.
Right.
Speaker?
Yeah, you want to look at the shared screen content.
Share screen. You cannot share screen.
Right. No, I'm not asking you to share your screen. You should look at the shared screen content. The other thing is, Deborah and everybody, this is being recorded, so you can go back and you'll be able to see everything and follow it up again with if
I see
I
see it now. Please
Okay.
forgive me.
No, you're fine.
Oh,
You're-
it's okay.
You're fine.
No worries.
I'm so sorry. I'm brand new. Please forgive me. You
No,
all.
hey, this is a supportive environment.
I
That's
see
okay.
We're okay.
Okay, looks like the chat, there's still quite a few people. Okay. Just seeing a copy link option on Facebook. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Melinda. We'll definitely look into that. And Zach, so there's definitely an option where we can utilize this for Facebook. I'm sure of it. We just have to get that finite detail, but what I'll do is I'll update the presentation slide. So that way, when we do upload it to the group, you have the updated version that shows you how to link Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So you guys, we will make sure that you're taken care of on all social media fronts. So if no one else has questions, I'll go ahead and move on to the next slide. And this is kind of just what we walked through with the LinkedIn. So I'm not going to go over it again. You have the tutorial here, and I'll also make sure that you guys have access to these slides as well, if you ever do have any questions. And the only thing about Instagram, so this is where it's going to be a little bit tricky. So I usually do this from a browser, but you can do this from a mobile phone. Let's go ahead. I'll just walk you through what that looks like. Let's see if I have access to my Instagram. Okay. So here would be a good example where, okay, I want to go ahead and share this post to the Facebook thread. So I've clicked on the post, and then now I'm going to go ahead and click on these three little dots. That'll allow me to copy the link. And I'll close that out, go back to the Facebook thread. Obviously, this would be for specifically a Instagram thread or maybe a free-for-all thread, which I'm thinking of adding as well, where you can post anything that you want. But I'm just going to use it as an example. The one thing that we just need to be careful with here, so Instagram can be a little bit tricky because their algorithm is really sensitive. So we want to make sure that we remove these UTM source links. So if you take a look at the link, there's a question mark. Everything from the question mark and after we want to just remove. So you just want to go ahead and delete that portion. It just prevents Instagram from being able to track our group because we don't want to get in trouble. We don't want to contribute to spammy behavior. So you just want to delete that portion of the link and then you can post. And then you'll still be able to post it to that.
Sorry,
Yep, Jody?
Yeah, I got one quick question. I think I'm finally getting it, but I just want to make sure. So this, what's on the screen now, the Business Accelerant, that is a closed Facebook group, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what we're talking about is actually copying the link to our LinkedIn posts and putting it in the Business Accelerant FB group.
Exactly. So you want to
Is that
take all of your external posts and then
I
link it
got it.
into
Okay,
private. Yep, you're exactly right.
I got it. Okay, thanks. I'm following now.
You're
Thank-
welcome. Does anybody else have any questions about how to copy those links? I can't see everyone, so you feel free to speak up.
I have a question about what you just said about the, would you call it a UTI link or something?
About UTM?
UTM. Yeah, what if, because I have a feeling that people aren't going to remember to get rid of that. What happens if what happens if it's there?
It's okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Instagram can just see where it's coming from. So
Right.
obviously if you do too many times, and they can, because Instagram is part of Facebook, they can close your group or, send you a warning, but that's okay. I put it in the slide and I'll also make sure to put it in the instructions as well when I do a thread.
Right. But if we see that it's there, is it something where we just write a comment, hey, remove the link, or don't actually follow through on it, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can address that too. So I've seen people where they're just, they leave a comment under that post and say, oh, delete the text after.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. All right, let me just resume this and then we can move forward. Oh, and actually that's the end. So this is not really very long. We're gonna have all of these slides up on the Facebook group for you to access, and I will make sure to update it for Facebook as well because we do wanna roll that out for you guys. So now I wanna open the floor for questions, concerns, suggestions, whatever you guys think can add value to the group. But before I do that, I just want to let everybody know that there is homework involved. So you're back in college, grade school, whatever. Your homework for today or tomorrow, whenever you find some free time that's convenient for you, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm going to send the link to everyone, and then we're going to accept you as we go along before everyone hops off. Introduce yourself in that pinned announcement thread, and then just start engaging. There's a LinkedIn thread already up. So maybe for those who aren't using LinkedIn, this would be the perfect time to post something on LinkedIn. And it doesn't have to be long. I mean, successful posts on LinkedIn are text posts that are, they can be long or they can be short. Or if you decide you want to share somebody else's content that you think is valuable for your audience, and then you put a description summarizing that, that's great too. So now I'm just going to open the floor to everyone. But before I do, I'm going to link the Facebook group in the chat. So while we're answering questions, you guys can go ahead and get accepted into the group. And let's go ahead and link that 1 second.
Okay, so while you're doing that, Melissa, what we do is click on the link, get accepted into the Facebook group, then post on LinkedIn, copy that link, and then go ahead and paste that link in the Facebook group that we're accepted to. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, can you just repeat that one more time? Were you referring to a LinkedIn post or?
So, yeah. So in other words, I think if I'm understanding this correctly, we click on the link that you just put in the chat for the Business Accelerant Facebook group and get accepted. Then we make a post on LinkedIn, copy that link like you showed us how to do,
Yep.
and then paste that link in the comments in the Business Accelerant Facebook group.
Yes. So, and you'll see the thread too. So this one is already set up. So we have our LinkedIn Boost thread right here, ready to go. Perfect. Everything that you said was spot on. So that's exactly how you would do it. So it looks like we already have some member requests rolling in. Now I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Let's just open it up for questions, and then I'll make sure to take some notes if you guys have some really awesome ones as well.
Where is the link?
Oh, it's in the chat. So does everyone have access to the chat? Can you see the link that I posted?
I have a question, Melissa. What kind of posts are we looking for? Is it something in LinkedIn? I see a lot where it's just somebody posts an article about something. I tend to post stuff that I don't even know it's good or not. To be honest with you, I mean sometimes a lot of mine is self-serving. It talks about my group or it talks about are these posts to be not self-serving or not self-promotional or is that okay sometimes or what? What do you think?
So that's okay. I think, because people have the option to choose, obviously the best way to approach your content. Sorry, let me just accept this really quick, Gabe. Okay. Actually, can you go on the Facebook group and approve everyone while I answer your question?
Okay, hold on.
So here's a couple of great ways that you can do that. Yeah, you can share content. So like, let's say I find an article that's really valuable to my audience, and then so I share it to the Facebook thread. Somebody else also thinks it's valuable to their audience. So, they want to comment or engage with that post and then maybe share it themselves on their own LinkedIn profile. However, I mean, the content, yes, it's key. Obviously, you want content that does engage and allow for comments. If you're like maybe your recent post where you do things differently, your recent post on Instagram or
Right.
That's perfectly fine. So even though that's promoting your group, it's still a post that people can engage with, like, oh wow, you're a trailblazer, you do things differently.
Right.
It's all about how people end up commenting on the post. Now, if you post, for example, just a link to an article and there's no description, that doesn't really facilitate any comments or engagement. Sure, you can post like, wow, thanks for sharing that article. That was really insightful information and be helpful for my audience. That can work, but that's not really authentic. Most people don't do that. Usually the posts that end up getting the most engagement have questions, trigger people to act, whether it's a funny meme or maybe a shared article, but they also include a description saying, hey, what are your thoughts on this article? I don't agree with it, or I do agree with it. Again, just thinking about dialogue. Any post that you want to put on there facilitates that dialogue, and really those are the true performing.
And so is it okay to have business related posts and also non-business related posts? Like is that okay to do that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So actually a lot of the posts that sorry, Jody. A lot of the posts that succeed on LinkedIn are actually not always business related.
Okay.
So following up on that, Melissa, I'm getting ready to send my request to join, but I actually have a personal Facebook profile and a very well done, kind of professionally maintained business Facebook page. In a practical sense, does it matter which one I click on to join the group as? I mean,
no.
Okay.
It's whichever one that you want to receive the notifications to. So if you manage your personal more than you do your company page, then go with your personal, because I am going to be sending out like notifications or messages. It's just whatever your checking most often.
Okay, so if I find it more difficult somehow to do the notifications on my business page, go ahead and do it with my personal profile if I'm
Yep.
comfortable getting notifications there. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yep. I find that putting the company page is difficult. Like it's hard to get notifications on that versus putting my personal. So I would just use my personal, but that's me. You don't have to. If you want to put your company page, that's totally fine too.
Melissa,
Yes.
I think I'm confused. Let me tell you what I think and tell me if I'm in the neighborhood.
Okay.
All of our posts on LinkedIn are going to be on the closed group that we're now a part of. And then we're going to copy the link to that post and paste it into the closed group on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
So let's say you post something on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn for your audience. So Keith, do you currently post on social media?
Yes.
What profiles are you posting on?
Facebook and LinkedIn.
Okay, perfect. So let's say there's a LinkedIn post that you really want to accelerate engagement on. You take that, you go through copying that link, kind of the steps that I walked you through, and then you would put that link into the private Facebook group thread under the LinkedIn boost.
Okay, but if they're private groups and we're the only ones who are members of that group, how will what we post be seen by anyone else?
So with these engagement pods, for example, it's just another way of spreading your content out. When you post your content in LinkedIn organically, people are going to see your content. But when you post it in the engagement pod, this just facilitates even more engagement, maybe to an audience that you don't already have. Or it's just a way where you can kind of accelerate that with more people commenting and liking that post. It triggers the algorithm on LinkedIn saying, okay, this is actually getting some engagement. This post is getting some traction. People like this. Then they start to show it to more people.
Okay, and let me add to that, Keith. I think what you're asking is when you take your post and you put it in our Facebook group, all you're doing is putting a link to it. We're clicking on the link and going back to LinkedIn to comment on it. So that's where they're seeing the comments. The public is not going to see anything in our Facebook group. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But so I mean, the Facebook group facilitates us being able to collect all these links, click on them, and go and comment on them on other platforms, whether it be Instagram or LinkedIn or even a different area in Facebook.
Okay, so I post something on our private LinkedIn page.
You know, you're posting a link to it. You're not writing original stuff. You're posting stuff on LinkedIn or somewhere else, and then copying the link to it on our Facebook page.
So I post something on my LinkedIn page.
Yes.
Copy the link, put it on our page, then copy that link, put it on Facebook page. You copy that link, put it on your page on LinkedIn, and comment on it.
No. So you post it on LinkedIn. You copy the link. You put it in our Facebook group. We click that link, which brings us back to your post, your original post, and we simply comment on it over there.
Okay.
It's just a facilitator. It's not. That's all it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That
it is a facilitator, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. It's just a conduit and facilitator rather than getting directly on the LinkedIn page.
Right.
Okay. Amy will explain it to me.
Yeah, and then we have the example. We'll have the live video up too if anybody wants to watch that again. But I could share my screen just one more time. We can keep asking some questions, but I'll go ahead and share it anyways, just to kind of walk you through it one more time. So let's see, where's my? Oh, Gabe, did you happen to approve people into the group?
I did. I don't
Perfect.
know if there's anybody left over. And I have to make. What do I need to make you? Some
Oh, Jody's
sort of super
Jody's
admin?
left over.
All right,
I
I
don't
have
know
to,
when I
hold on.
clicked approve. Oh, there we go. Okay, it worked. I don't know what
Okay.
happened before.
Okay.
Okay, so let's take a look. Oh, looks like a lot of people are already working on it. Okay, this
Wow,
is great.
good. Way to go, guys.
All right, so I'm going to
Awesome.
delete my content just because it's not relevant. Please don't like it.
Mhm.
But so let's actually take a look at Melinda's post, and she already has something on there. So Keith, she took one of her LinkedIn posts, so I want to get engaged with it. So I'm going to go ahead and just click her link, and it's going to take me to her LinkedIn post from my account. So I already see it. Oops. And then this is where I would actually go ahead and engage with it. So it takes you to that third-party social media platform. You're not engaging with anybody in the Facebook group.
Okay.
You're just commenting done when you've completed the task. So let's see, what is this one about?
I was missing that one key part of the function of the closed two groups. So I get that now.
Awesome.
They're like bulletin boards.
Yeah, basically. It's like a little forum. Oh, and I like using #Refy Melinda. So this is relevant to me. And then, for example, I would go ahead and comment on her post. I'm not going to do it right now. I'll go back to it. But that gives you a good idea. And then when you completed your 2, and like I said, you can do 2 or more. The more you do, the better. It helps everyone out, and it's going to help you in the long run. I'm just going to go ahead. When I have my post up, I would just reply done to say, okay, I've completed my task. I've done the 2. And that just lets
Awesome.
me and Gabe know, okay, they've
Yeah.
finished their thread for the day. And this really just prevents, we don't want those leeches in the group. Those don't benefit anyone. They put their post up, they get engagement, but they never reciprocate. And we want to prevent that. So that's why we have this a little additional measure. Again, it takes a few seconds of your time to just engage with somebody, read through their post, and then comment done once it's completed on your own thread. I'm doing it on Melinda's just because I don't have mine up yet.
Leeches will be expelled. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. Is there any follow-up questions for us?
I have a question, Melissa.
Yes, who is that? Nikki?
Yeah, this is Nikki.
Okay.
So we don't comment done under the person whose post we commented. Where do we comment done?
So when you post your thread, so I guess this works best. Yeah. So your post, you just post under there, commenting on your own thread. And we're not going to be super strictlers here. We just want to, again, facilitate this engagement with everybody. And I know it's still a little bit of a learning process for some. So it's not the end of the world if you comment in the wrong spot. I'm sure I'll be able to work through it. So if you do have any questions, you could always just private message us on Facebook too, or
So
LinkedIn.
where we post the word done is in the comments section underneath the LinkedIn post, underneath the LinkedIn link that we went back to and read. We comment done that we looked at that person's LinkedIn comment, correct?
So you can do that if you want. You can comment directly under their thread, but you can also comment done on yours.
On
your post.
That way.
It's easier that way for us to track.
Yeah, that way you don't.
So,
that way you don't have to go to every ones that you did. You just
so
say done. That means I've done my 2 or 3 or whatever.
I got you. So the done is to tell y'all that I've done my own
Right.
2.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things too where if you post done on somebody else's, we don't want them to feel like, oh, they have to reciprocate it. Again, we want this to benefit you, but also your ideal clients. When you think about who you're posting for, you want to post the content that's most relevant to them, while also still supporting people in the group.
Right.
So does this benefit on both? I assume it benefits or accelerates you on LinkedIn. In other words, the object is to drive traffic to your LinkedIn comments so that people can read that and comment on that, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's one component to it, yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not to drive traffic to your Facebook page or to the Digital Accelerant Facebook page.
No.
It's to post your links on the Digital Accelerant closed FB page. Post your link so that people can look at those links and then go and click on that link and go to their LinkedIn page and help them
Yes.
commenting, viewing,
Yes.
etc.
And
The
you know
way
what else? You know what else it does, Jody? It also helps you when you're commenting on other things. It gives you more visibility. So other people are seeing you come, oh, that person's generous and all that. They might want to connect with you. So it really helps everybody. So
Yes, as you like and comment on posts, the way that social media algorithms work is that if I go and like your post, Jody, you will see that, right? You'll see the little Zachary Adams liked your post, but also your followers will see that. Now, also, if I'm liking and commenting on a lot of your posts, you will actually start to see more of my posts in your feed. It's just the way the algorithms work. And because you're seeing more in my feed, or more in your feed, the people who are following you are going to often see me it's going to filter through to them as well. That's the way most social media algorithms work. There's a little bit of distinctions between Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn and how that works exactly, but generally speaking, that's the general rule.
mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
But what did I want to add? I think there was, you know what, I can't recall. So maybe I'll think of it later.
Can you, Melissa, can you put in, Susan doesn't have the link. She got back on late. Can you post the Facebook link for her, please? I guess I could have done it, but.
That's
Thank
okay,
you.
I can do it.
Yeah.
I was on my phone driving, and when I got to the chat, it's like, oh, there's no chat here.
If I'd
Yeah,
known
you
you were
can't do
driving,
that.
If I'd known you were driving, I would have kicked you off. You're not allowed to be driving and being on any of our meetings.
Hey, my 1 weekly trip, I had to go to the doctor.
Okay. So it is getting up to close to 2:00. Before we sign off, I want to give a big shout out. Everybody unmute yourself and give Melissa a big round of applause, because I mean, she did an amazing job setting this up. When I came up with this idea, I had no idea what I was doing, but Melissa just put everything in a perfect perspective, and now we have a working system that's going to get us all new business. So I really, really appreciate your efforts, and I'm sure everybody else does as well.
Thank you. And I remember what I wanted to add.
Okay.
So you guys are more than welcome to post on the Facebook feed too. Like, you know, whether you have questions, you need business advice, that's what we want to provide as well. A resource for you guys to ask questions and facilitate conversations. Because a lot of this is educational too. We want to really give you guys value outside of the Referral Accelerant program, which is one of the things we want to roll out, like the Ask an Expert. There's a really cool feature that Facebook released where you can have rooms where you could have one speaker and then maybe 8 participants, I think. I still have to work through it, but basically it'd be a great benefit for you if you ever want to share information, you know, kind of establish yourself as that thought leader, generate more leads, clients, and all those things. So we want to provide so much value for you. So feel free to ask questions. Again, the only thing that we ask is just don't self-promote on the main feed, because then that can get really congested. But we do want you coming back to the group and engaging and having conversations with everyone.
Yeah, and you know, we've already discovered that Melinda, she does LinkedIn. She teaches LinkedIn, so we'll have her do you know, maybe a Facebook Live or something, or however we do it, and add value. And obviously Zach might be able to do something at some point. So and maybe even not necessarily about tech. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Robin can tell us about gold and you know, at some point. So but as you know, so we're trying to move slowly, like not just do everything at once. You know, we're trying to just, okay, let's get things started. Let's make people, you know, a little bit, and then watch it grow organically. But we do have a lot of plans for the future for it.
Oh, and I would love to see Nikki do a healing session. That would be great too.
I would be happy to.
Awesome. That's awesome. Very cool.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in today. I really appreciate you guys for coming on and taking the time to listen to me and Gabe and asking questions, because that really makes me happy.
Thank you,
Thank
Melissa.
you both.
Very good. Well,
Thanks, Melissa.
So much, Melissa and Gabe.
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you all.
Pleasure.
Thank you, guys, too.
Well, everyone, have a great day. I will post a lot of this content on the Facebook.